the light, the dark, and the medium grays. Okay? For your digital camera, you have a histogram. It goes dark on one side, light at the bottom, and you always try to get this kind of gram that kind of hits both sides in the middle too. If it's all the way to one side, you have too much black. All the way to one side, it's too much white. So you always try to get this kind of like enough white, enough dark, enough. But you, for example, you can shoot the same picture, get the same exposure with all these different combinations. Okay, so if I shoot a 15th of a second at 22 in this lighting situation, not this exact one, but to get a negative like this, I can still get the negative to look exactly the same in sense of exposure if I shoot a little bit faster and open up my aperture a little bit larger, so forth and so on. Okay, so all these combinations will give me a properly exposed picture. The only difference is if I shoot at a wider aperture, the background will blur out more, and if I'm shooting action, then my shutter would be my main concern. Because if I shoot somebody running at a 30th second, he'll be too blurry. If I shoot by thousands of seconds, he'll freeze in time, so you have to decide what you're trying to do. You want something in between. You want his body to be slightly frozen, but his legs to be blurry, so it looks like he's actually running. Stuff like that, okay? And one last thing I want to talk about is your camera, how it reads light. Okay? So that way you have a kind of an understanding. When your camera is reading light, okay, so back then, this is called a light meter. Okay? I'm pretty sure you guys all seen it. This reads light. Okay? So it reads the amount of light given in the environment. It tells the photographer if you want to shoot a 5.6, what should be your shutter be. You can program to what ISO you're using, blah, blah, blah. When your camera is reading light, can you turn on the lights, Joe? When your camera is reading light, all it's doing is this. It looks at a scene. It looks for the whitest part of the scene. So, for example, this scene would be his shirt. Okay, it finds that. Then it looks for the darkest part of the scene. So, for example, it would be his shirt. And then what it does is it adjusts it and find the middle ground for you. So we call that a mid-gray. Okay? And that's all it's trying to do. So when you have an environment like this, where white is white, black is black, gray is gray, it's going to get a good exposure all the time. Okay? Which is like most outdoor shot. But if you go into the snow, where white is white, right? The darkest area is still white. So its mid-ground's right here, instead of somewhere here. So that way it throws it off, and it won't give you a good exposure. If you shoot at night, where dark is dark, and the brightest area is still over here, its mid-gray is going to be off again. So in a great environment, auto is fine. If you're leaving an auto exposure, that's great. Okay, that's fine. It'll work. Okay, but if you leave an auto at night, you guys know what happened, right? The shutter opens for so long that everything's blurry. When you shoot in the snow, your exposures, people's face is always kind of dark. Okay, so your camera's ability to measure light inside the camera is limited. Okay, it's limited. That's pretty much all it can do is find a mid-gray for you. So you as a photographer can look at a scene now and try to bypass that sometimes. Okay, so if I was to shoot Tuan here, and I'm shooting him against the light, so let's say it's a little bit brighter outside, okay, I know for a fact my reading's going to be off. So I can either use my flash to fill him in, or I can expose for him and totally wash out the background. Okay, those are my two options. Use an additional flash, or to wash out the background. It all depends on what you're trying to do. So on your camera, there's a compensation, which is really important, in my opinion. It's what I feel I have control over, in the sense that I'm using, a manual mode. Let me turn on the lights on, please. Okay, and you guys all have that on your camera.
Manual?
No, you can leave it on AV mode or TV mode. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to show you where that is on your camera. Okay. Okay. It looks something like that on your screen. You guys should have it. Okay, so that's the compensation mode. And what that is right where the smack middle, that's the neutral gray. Okay, that's perfectly exposure. So when you shoot in AV mode or TV mode, you notice that the light meter is always trying to get there. If there's not enough light, it's going to run all the way to the negative and say, not enough light. It's going to start blinking. Not enough light. You can go ahead and shoot, but it's too dark. Okay? Then it goes all the way to the positive. It's telling you it's too bright. So make your adjustments. Okay, lower your ISO or whatever. But if you have on TV mode or AV mode and there's there's enough light, it's always going to try to hit the middle, and it gives you a good exposure. So in most situations, it's great. Can you turn the light down? But if you're shooting against the light, here's something you can do. I'm going to put my camera on 400 ISO. I'm going to shoot a photograph Tuan real quick. Okay, and I'm going to choose my aperture 4.0. Let's just say that, because most of your lenses are 4.0. Okay, if I shoot him right now, I'm pretty sure the background's going to be dark, even though my light meter reads it's okay. But what it's doing is taking the drastic bright out there, and then the dark in here, and it's giving me an off middle, because it's too bright out there. Okay, so, most likely, it might be okay, because it's really not that bright, but let's just say it is. Okay. Okay, oh, that's pretty bright. Okay. Okay, play, John. Okay, it's pretty dark, right? So here's the thing. Instead of like going to manual right away, which most people do. Oh, my semi-automatic mode's not working well. I need to go manual. What you can do is right away tell your camera, I'm going to go over 2 stops. I'm going to take that light meter and tell it, instead of being in the middle, I want it to go over 2 stops or 1 stop, depending on your guesstimate. And they will automatically make the adjustment. So right now, I'm going to tell my camera, knowing that I'm shooting against the light, I'm going to tell my camera, yeah, I'm going to do it on here. I'm just going to tell it to go over 2 stops, okay?
How do you do
so
that?
on your camera, you have a plus minus button somewhere, okay? Every camera is a little bit different.
Okay, I see it.
You find yours?
Yeah. Oh no, it's not
Okay.
it.
Let me see. Once I find mine,
Look, mine moves like
I have
this.
like 5 different pairs.
Mine moves like this. I don't know.
Okay, yours. That's the AV bracket thing.
Something else.
It's similar, but let me maybe find mine and I'll help you find yours. Okay. Because mine has 2 of them. Mine has one for the flash compensation and one for the body compensation.
That's
Yours doesn't have one for the flash. What is it? Well, for mine, it's very easy. And yours might be the same.
Oh, that thing? Okay.
Yeah, for mine, I just pushed the...
You're not talking about this one, right? 'Cause this tells
yeah,
you-
that's it right there.
See, that just tells you how much light is left in the thing. Oh, so you just I mean, you
Yes,
just
right now, see, in this environment, it's under.
Yeah, so you just adjust it so it'll be up a little more.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you're telling it to
You do that all the time.
more
To
compensation.
go over. Yeah, to go over. Shoot over. So I'm shifting the mid
Okay.
towards the darker side. Okay, so John, go ahead and turn on the light.
Opposed to using your flash.
Yes, yes. But knowing that, the background's going to be washed out, right? Okay, but I don't mind on this picture. For my camera, it's actually a lot easier than I remembered. For me, I just push lightly on the focus and then turn my dial and automatically does it. So it's very convenient. So right now I'm shooting over 1.2 stop. Okay? And Tuan should be a little bit brighter.
Okay.
Okay, see? But the background's washed out, which I don't care about. Now, if I really need to preserve the background, then what do I need to do?
Background.
Aperture? Oh, flash?
ISO.
I
Use
need
a
to keep
flash.
my flash. Okay, so here I'm going to try to create the same type of picture. Keep Tuan pretty bright, but the background with a detail up there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tell my camera, I'm still keeping it at 4.0, I'm going to tell my camera to go under. Under. Okay? So that means the shutter's going to go up. That means I'm more exposing for the background now. But I'm going to use my flash to fill in Tuan. Okay? So I was shooting this way, okay? Alright. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm going to use my hand as a little kicker because I know I'm a little close to him. Okay? I get a little bit more of the background, okay? Tuan's really bright, but see how that doesn't really look natural? I'm going to try without my hand because my hand's a little orange. Okay? Okay. Turn this on, okay. Because right now my shutter is jumping up to 500. I will get that background pretty darn, the way it is, then I'll just kick in for Tuan a little bit. Okay, so here's the thing, okay?